Imagine this. You lose your home in a wildfire. The shock, the grief, it's overwhelming. And then, just when you're trying to figure out how to rebuild, you get hit with another challenge, a massive insurance rate hike. Well, today we're going to dig into something pretty powerful. For California homeowners, the very materials you choose for your new home might just be your best weapon in this fight. Let's get into it.
And look, this isn't some hypothetical. This is a real quote, showing the kind of financial shockwaves hitting people right now. This homeowner in Malibu saw their premium more than double, and this was while they were still in a 14-month fight over their fire and smoke damage claim. This kind of thing, this financial aftershock, it's becoming the new normal for fire survivors all across the state.
And that story? It's not a one-off. This number right here, 17%, that's the average rate increase State Farm, California's biggest home insurer, has just locked in. It's a huge signal that the entire ground is shifting under the California insurance market.
Yeah, all of this is pointing to a much bigger trend. We have absolutely entered a new insurance reality in California, one where all the old rules about risk and how much things cost are basically being thrown out the window.
So let's break down this State Farm deal, okay? It makes that 17% rate hike official, and it's because of a staggering $6.2 billion in wildfire claims from just last year alone. Now, there is a small silver lining. It does hit pause on mass policy cancellations until 2026. But here's the really crucial part. What the settlement doesn't do, it offers zero direct help for survivors who are still fighting to get their initial claims paid. And this chart, wow. This shows you the real-world impact in the starkest terms possible. On one side, you've got over 13,000 homes just gone, destroyed in recent fires. And on the other, only 28 have been fully rebuilt as of early this year. That massive gap, that's what happens when insurance uncertainty completely stalls the recovery before it can even get started.
Okay, I know that all sounds pretty bleak, but this is where the story starts to change. We're going to shift from the problem to the solution. Because, homeowners actually have way more control than they think once they understand what I call the insurability equation.
Which brings us to the big question. The whole reason we're talking about this today. Can the choices you make when you rebuild, the literal nuts and bolts of your house, can that actually change your insurance rates and even your ability to get coverage in the first place? The answer is a huge, resounding yes.
Let's just compare the two main ways to go. On the left, you've got your traditional wood-framed house. It can catch fire at around 600 degrees, and it actually helps the fire spread. So to an insurer, that's a high-risk profile, plain and simple. Now look at the right, a non-combustible home. We're talking concrete, steel. It resists catching fire and can even act as a fire break, stopping the blaze from spreading. To an insurance company, that is a completely different and much, much lower risk.
So, this is the key concept to get your head around. This domino effect. It's why wildfires can tear through a neighborhood so incredibly fast. One house catches fire, it generates so much heat, it ignites the next one, and then the next, and so on. A non-combustible home doesn't just protect itself, it helps break that whole destructive chain reaction for the entire neighborhood.
Okay, so if building with non-combustible materials is the answer, what are your actual options on the ground? Let's take a look at the real-world choices that are available to you right now.
This table really lays it all out. You can see the trade-offs at a glance. For instance, your standard stick-built home, even when it's been fire-hardened, is what insurers now just consider the baseline risk, which probably means it'll have the highest costs in the long run. Now compare that to something like ICF, or insulated concrete forms. It's listed here as the best value for resilience. Why? Because you get a huge jump in protection for a cost that's just a little bit more than traditional building. And then way up at the top end, you've got things like all-steel construction, which an insurer might look at and say, yep, that's permanently insurable. Feel free to pause and really look over these options. Each one finds a different sweet spot between speed, cost, and that long-term peace of mind.
So the real takeaway here isn't that you should just pick one thing off that table. It's realizing that you now have a brand new set of really important questions you have to ask yourself before you lock in your plans. What's my number one priority? Is it speed, budget, or is it long-term insurability? The answers will point you to the right system for you and your family.
And that really brings us to our final thought. This whole decision, it's not just about rebuilding a house that's gone. It's about building for the future. A future with a very different climate and a very different set of risks.
If there's one single idea you walk away with today, I want it to be this. In this new California, your building materials are your new insurance policy.
It's a physical, tangible asset that you control, and it directly impacts your financial security for decades to come.
So we'll leave you with this final question to think about. As we all look toward the future, is building with these fire-resistant, resilient materials, is it no longer just a smart choice for Californians, but an absolute necessity?